Welcome to Evalve Out Loud. I'm Chris Anzir. This is where I think out loud about AI and education. What's working, what isn't, what I'm building, what I'm seeing in the field, what I'm trying to figure out this week. Some of it lands, some of it doesn't. And honestly, that's kind of the whole point of this show. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Evalve Out Loud. So here's what happened. In 1 week, I put 4 apps into TestFlight. 4 real native iOS, iPhone, and iPad apps. One of them started off as a pretend cash register I built for my daughter. And inside of a week, I turned it into something I never saw coming. A real curriculum and a data tool for special education classrooms. A little more than a year ago, I first used AI to begin writing code. It was in the LLM chats. I was getting snippets, copying and pasting, building it chunk by chunk, right? And I remember at the time, one of the ideas I had been kicking around for a while was with working with some BCBAs and the work that they do as behavior specialists and our FBA data collection. We were always running into this issue with the struggle with data collection. So just like myself, right, and my ADHD brain, I like to remove the friction. I like to make it as easy as possible to complete a task. The more difficult it is to start, the more difficult it is to remember, the more difficult it is to keep up with, the less likely I'm going to do it, right? Same thing with teachers in the classroom collecting data. We've got a specialized classroom, anywhere from 8 to potentially 15 students, and each of them has an IEP goal, maybe multiple IEP goals. They may have the method that we're using to collect each of those data points could be different. Skills could all be different, and without any planning, implementation, without any thoughts, you're never going to collect that data. If you're not going to do it consistently, if you forget to do it, if it's, what I say the default is print a data tracking sheet and put it on a clipboard and stick the clipboard on the board. Now you have to remember to grab that clipboard, remember to check it off, remember to put it back up there, remember to track the data, enter it in, get a data summary, all these other steps. There's a lot of friction, time and time again. We identify a problem behavior, we get into the classroom, we observe, we tell the teacher, let's go ahead and take some frequency data over the next 2 weeks. We'll connect on how often it's happening, right? Maybe we'll ask that before we even come in. What's your data collection system? I don't have one. Okay, let me get you started on one. You write it in, you type in the description, the function of the behavior, the observable piece to it, and the app will recommend which type of data you should be collecting. Frequency, duration, interval, and the such. You can set some of the metrics for success, some of the metrics for the performance over time, and then you also have the ability, if you're initially tracking the data, you can stop there. But you also have the availability, if it's part of a behavior intervention plan, to enter the target behavior and the replacement behavior and those metrics for success. Once you get that information entered in there, this is where the beauty of it is. You swipe right for a target behavior, you swipe left for replacement behavior. You can create a widget on your home screen for that student, and all you have to do is swipe left or swipe right to track that behavior. Everything, the device that we have in our pockets, tablets that we have available in every single classroom are right there in your hand. All you have to do, swipe. The data's tracked. Logs that data, it'll graph it, it'll write a data summary. You can type in what changed, or you don't have to. But then it gives you all that information. The way I have it wired up right now in the testing phase is that it's all locally contained. So we're not worried about any privacy or student information, right? But the data stays local on device. It is already pre-wired up within the app. I don't have it switched on because I don't need to yet, but it'll be able to sync with Clever so teachers' rosters can automatically upload to it, and they won't have to enter a student in, but they'll have them already in there. And then from there, this app started off as a behavior tracking tool, but I quickly saw the utility in the other areas of special education, and I developed a second set to it that makes it an IEP goal tracker. Works the same way. With the recent release of Fable 5 from Anthropic through Claude, but you can one-shot. With Fable 5, learning some tricks through Claude Code, I set up I already had the ideas already all fleshed out. Now build, and it just takes off and builds it, right? Did everything. All I had to do was go into my Apple developer account and create a file for the app, and Claude took care of the rest and got it up and running. And I sent the link to myself. Now I got it on my phone. I can play around with it, give the actual clicks, some sample goals, sample behavior data, start clicking around, playing with it, give it a test. The week before, I had a good cadence, and I was excited to keep that cadence up. And then I had a bad week. Couldn't get started. It's the only thing that I could get started. The experience of working with Claude compared to ChatGPT when I was first writing the code, and then LLM chat session, to writing it back and forth in the command line and terminal, night and day. Back and forth, iterative, bouncing ideas. How would we do this? Bouncing idea, Claude asking me ideas. It's a co-worker, right? That's where it went from. It goes from me giving it all the input, the brainstorming, to getting feedback, getting questions, to make the app go a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger, to make it work, right? That's the process that I put in for all these apps. That got my momentum going. The next one came with a call that I took of a parent with a child with disability, and they were sharing their experience navigating educationally, medically, personally, sharing where their struggles are, where their successes are, where the time, the energy, the effort, the rejection that they have to put in to advocating for their child, and how they feel so fortunate that they can navigate the system, but with some frustration, plenty of frustration, but they navigate it for the betterment of their child, the betterment of their lives, the betterment of their family, and how a tool like that grows with the family, grows with the child, would be valuable to many other parents. So I took that conversation seriously, thought about it, looked at all the areas that were encompassing of it, and I came up with 6 different pillars within the app that kind of encompass, I feel, a fairly robust, holistic view of being a parent and experience and raising and advocating for your child. So able to be creating an app that allows parents to upload medical records, neuropsych files, IEPs, and helping them understand it in parent-friendly language. Don't speak English. For the families that can't read. The families who rely on social services. Useful for every parent, regardless of their background. I want it to be accessible. Nudge the parent to replay, to try to understand and uncover, for the parent to play the detective and understand what the antecedent was that triggered that behavior. And then it would give them some useful tools and strategies and intervention that they can try the next time, and they can report, collect the data on, did that work? Did that not work? Do we need to try something else? How long did it work? But this app then will also grow with the child at certain milestones, at transitions. As we instead of here in the state of Illinois, right? Instead of only asking at the yearly IEP meeting, have you enrolled your child in PUNS? Have you considered applying for any respite care, and all the other questions for post-secondary that are available to children at birth? Have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? That we ask. And they only can hear it once a year, or no, we haven't. Okay, here's the number to call. Okay, here's, because that's where, as an education system, we have to hand it off. This now app will give the parents the number. Hey, it's time for that yearly update to PUNS. Give them a call. Here's their number. This app will ask, have you called and updated PUNS? You can tell it, no. Your child's going to be your child is 16 years old. Child's 14 and a half years old. Have you thought about guardianship? Should we begin that process right now? Child's 14 years old. Should we begin thinking about guardianship? Your child's 18 years old. Do we need guardianship? What are the plans? Would you like the connections? Based on the reports that you've uploaded and what we've talked about for years, these will be some good places to call if you don't know. Do you have any ideas of what you'd like for your child that help them, right? Get them ready, set them up from birth through adulthood, to walk with them, to be paired with them, that to be a companion. That's what they want. That's what parents need, is a companion to help them navigate this complex system and the complex needs of their child. The next app that I got published to TestFlight is an app that I'm just simply calling for right now a family chores app. And where this was coming from, it was coming from my own experience, both short-term and long-term experience with my children and stepchildren. And, you know, they are fantastic about doing the chores. They will do that. But what they need is like a constant reminder. They have no problem when it's their turn to pick up Rosie's dog poop. They have no problem when it's their turn, you know, to empty the dishwasher, or if they're, you know, if they're asked to empty the dishwasher, they'll do it without complaint, no hesitation. They're wonderful people. Everyone's wonderful, responsible, helpful people. You know, they do their own laundry, and so it wasn't born out of nobody's doing anything. Where it's born out of is that constant reminder to, hey, your laundry's done. Can you change your laundry? Keep up with it. You know, change it over to the dryer. Can you it's your turn to take out the dog poop. Can you make sure it gets done? I had a reminder on my phone every Wednesday because they come to mow the lawn on Thursdays. So, Wednesday night, whoever's turn it was, hey guys, just a reminder, time to pick up the dog poop, and they get it done. So I'm trying to cut out the in between, right? The reminders. So sat down, I'm building back and forth, talking about the problem, what issues I'd like to solve. I don't want to have to keep reminding them to turn the lights off and their fan off and letting them run all day. So we have some reminders and checks and balances for those. And I was like, let's make this app. You can create a chore. You can assign different family members to the chore. You can determine the frequency of the chore, and everyone can kind of check when it's done. It sends out some notifications when you're approaching the deadline to complete that chore, some reminders, letting you know, hey, it's time to do this. You can add some more. And I thought it was just a great opportunity to start building then not only some daily tasks and reminders, but weekly tasks or monthly tasks and when they need to be completed by. And again, it's going to reduce that friction in me from having to remind everybody. And do I want to remind everybody? No. Do I enjoy reminding everybody? No. Do I have a problem reminding everybody? No. Because the alternative is I don't communicate that they need to do the task, but I don't need to be on top of them. So let's use technology. That's the family chore app in a nutshell. And then the last one was the app that I built, and it's the kids' point of sale is what the app's called. And this was born out of the little girl. She has had, I'm pretty sure, 3 different toy cash registers in her short, and they've either broke or she got rid of them because my wife is a good purger. So if we're not playing with toys, if we don't use them, then we can donate them or sell them. And I think at least one of the cash registers wasn't broken and just got donated because she didn't use them. Well, one morning, and I feel like there was even a Target run before then where she was like, oh, I need a cash register. And I'm like, you've had 3 of them. We don't have them anymore. And then one morning, she's wanting a cash register. So I go, I'm not buying you another cash register. And then I go, I can build you an app that's a toy cash register. Why don't you sit down with me and tell me everything that you want in this cash register? So I pulled up a recording, my Claude note pin, pulled it up, and we just started spitballing back and forth. Well, how about we add this? How about we add this? I'd like it to do this. I'd like to be able to name the store. I would like it to be able to have your own items. How would you like your own items to be uploaded in there? I want to take a picture of them. Okay, when you put a picture of them, what do you want it to be able to do? I want it to be able to, you can set a price, you can scan it, you can, total it up. And we were having a good conversation. It was so cute too, because then my wife comes walking in and she adds in a couple things in there, and add a couple things in there, and then add a couple more in and out. And then I took all that information, then I went right to my AI, sat down. Hey, let's plan an iPad app based on a point of sale device themed around something modern that you would see, at like a hipster store, where they're using toast or an iPad, and I love how they always have the iPad on the swiveling armchair. I think they buy the arm, right? They buy it all as a kit, and they can swing it around, and there's your tip, But that's the kid point of sale app. And so I got that on our iPad, and I got it up in TestFlight. She's got a kit account, so I had to actually plug it into my Mac to get it on there, where she's played with it every other day at the most. In the week that I think I've had it built on her iPad, she's played with it so much, and she loves it. And I think there's some utility, right? The educator in me is, I built it up so where she does a cash sale. She does a cash sale, then she's got to, we can hand her the money, and she's got to use the count up method to make the change. It's still kind of clicking around, and so just by her playing with it and giving me feedback, then I can make different version updates to the app, right? All right, that's it for this one. If something here landed, share it with someone who gets something out. If it didn't, hey, it's part of the deal too. You can find more of what I'm working on at evalveconsulting.com. Book a call if you want to talk through what you're dealing with. Talk to you later.